All right, everyone, get ready because today we're diving deep into income protection insurance.
Oh, yeah?
We've got some really interesting articles from Business Standard and a super comprehensive guide to help us wrap our heads around how this type of insurance can actually help you protect your family's financial future, just in case.
Yeah, it's something that people don't often think about.
Right.
But it's so important, especially these days when, job security and unexpected things can really happen.
Absolutely. And that's exactly why we're here.
Yeah.
To give you a clear picture of what income protection insurance really is all about, why it might be way more important than you think, and what are the big things you should think about if you're thinking about getting a policy.
Right.
So let's just jump right in.
Yep.
What exactly are we talking about when we say income protection insurance?
So basically, income protection insurance, it's like a financial safety net.
Okay.
That kicks in if you can't work for whatever reason.
Okay.
Illness, injury, disability. And it's designed to replace part of your income, like 75 to 85%, so that you can keep paying for your essential expenses even when you're not getting a paycheck.
I see. So it's like having a backup plan for your finances.
Yeah.
Like a backup generator, Make sure the lights stay on even if the main power goes out.
Exactly. That's a really good analogy.
Yeah.
It's all about mitigating risk and making sure your family is financially stable no matter what happens. And believe me, life can throw some pretty crazy things at you.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Our sources really emphasize that if you lose your income, even for a little bit, it can have huge consequences.
Yeah, and it's not always about those big dramatic events you see on the news.
Right.
Sometimes it's the everyday stuff that can really catch you off guard. Like one of the articles we have talks about how getting sick suddenly or even having a minor accident could stop you from working for weeks or even months.
Absolutely. And it's not just physical things either. Mental health issues, chronic conditions, even just burnout. Those things can all impact your ability to earn money.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's always the chance of losing your job.
Oh, yeah.
Layoffs, downsizing, even whole industries disappearing.
Yeah.
It's just a fact of life for so many people these days.
It's true. And I think a lot of people don't realize how much financial strain can come from taking care of a family member, whether it's an aging parent or child with special needs.
Right.
Those situations can mean that someone has to cut back on their work hours or even stop working altogether.
You're right. That's such an important point.
Yeah.
These are real situations that a lot of people are facing.
Yeah.
And they show how important it is to have a plan to protect your income. Because the truth is, none of us can predict the future.
Right. We've definitely established that losing your income even for a short time can have really serious consequences. But how does income protection insurance actually work?
Okay, so there are a few important things to understand.
Okay.
The first is the waiting period. And that's the time between when you make a claim and when you actually start receiving benefits.
So is it kind of like a deductible on your car insurance?
Yes, exactly.
Where you choose a higher deductible and you pay less each month? But if you do need to use it, you pay a bit more upfront.
That's exactly right. And just like with deductibles, the length of the waiting period that you choose will affect how much you pay for the insurance. If you want to start getting benefits sooner, you'll have to pay a higher premium.
So you got to find that balance.
Right.
Between how quickly you need that financial help and how much you can afford to pay each month.
Exactly.
Okay, so what else should we know about these policies? Like, how are they structured?
Another big thing is the benefit period.
Okay.
This is how long you'll get those income replacement payments after you can't work.
Okay.
Some policies only cover you for a few months.
Right.
Others can provide benefits for years.
Oh, wow. So the benefit period is all about how long you're covered. That makes sense. Is there anything else we need to know about how these policies actually work?
Yeah, a lot of policies also include what's called rehabilitation benefits.
Okay.
This is designed to help you get back to work if you've been off because of an illness or injury.
Okay.
This could involve things like training for a new job, physical therapy, even help with finding a new job.
So it's not just about giving you money while you're recovering, but it's also about helping you get back to work when you're ready.
Exactly. It's a more well-rounded approach.
Yeah.
Recognizing that getting back on your feet often involves more than just money.
It's like a whole support system almost. That's a really interesting side of income protection I think a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah.
We talked about what it is, why it's important, and now how it actually works.
Right.
But beyond just, replacing your income, what are some of the benefits of having this kind of coverage?
That's where it gets really interesting. Obviously, the financial safety net is crucial.
Right.
But the emotional benefits are just as big. Just knowing your family is protected no matter what happens can give you such peace of mind.
Right.
Especially when you're already stressed and unsure about what's going to happen.
It's like having a shield against worry, right?
Exactly.
Instead of constantly worrying about bills piling up or having to use your savings, you can focus on the things that matter most, your health and your family.
Exactly. And when you're not so worried about money, you can put all of your energy into getting better.
Right.
It lets you make decisions about your health without feeling pressured to go back to work before you're really ready.
It's almost like this insurance isn't just protecting your income, but it's also protecting your well-being.
Exactly.
It's giving you the space and the resources to actually heal both physically and mentally.
Exactly. It's like creating a buffer zone.
Yeah.
A sense of security and stability during a time when you might feel really vulnerable.
Okay, so we know that income protection insurance can give you peace of mind, financial security, and even support your overall well-being.
Right.
But with all these different policies out there, how do you know which one is right for you?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
And to answer it, we need to look closely at what to consider when you're choosing a policy.
Okay, walk me through it. What are the key things to keep in mind?
So the first thing is to figure out what your family actually needs.
Okay.
How much money would they need each month if you couldn't work?
Okay.
This should be a number that reflects your current lifestyle, your necessary expenses, and your future goals.
So it's not just about covering the basics.
Right.
It's really about understanding what it would take to maintain your family's quality of life.
Exactly. And this is different for every family.
Right.
Things like how many people are in your family, what your financial goals are, even where you live. All of those play a role in figuring out how much coverage you might need.
Okay, so let's say we've figured out how much coverage we need.
Okay.
What's next?
Next, it's time to start comparing different plans.
Okay.
Remember those key features we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
The waiting period, the benefit period, the definition of disability?
Yes.
These can be very different from policy to policy.
You know, one of the articles we have actually pointed out that different policies have different definitions of disability.
Yes.
That seems like something that's really important to pay attention to.
It is. It's super important to understand exactly what situations would allow you to get the benefits. Some policies will only cover you if you're completely unable to work at all.
I see.
Others might have partial disability coverage, which can be helpful if you can still work part-time while you're getting some income protection.
So choosing between total and partial disability coverage would depend on your job and how flexible it is.
Exactly.
That's a really important difference.
And don't be afraid to ask questions. Make sure you understand everything, especially the definition of disability in the policy.
Okay, so we figured out how much coverage we need, compared different plans, paid attention to the definition of disability. Anything else we should do before deciding?
Yes. One last but very important thing. Understand what the policy doesn't cover.
Okay.
It's like those terms and conditions that we all just scroll through without reading.
Right.
The exclusion section outlines exactly what isn't covered by the policy.
Yeah, it's like reading the fine print on those contest rules. There are always some surprises in there.
Right. So pay close attention to any limitations or restrictions that could affect whether you get benefits. For example, some policies might not cover things you already had before you got the policy.
Right.
Or certain risky activities.
Okay.
Or even income from certain sources.
So this is where it's super important to really understand your own situation.
Yeah.
And make sure the policy actually fits your lifestyle.
Right.
And your potential risks.
Exactly.
All this talk about policies and features can sometimes feel a bit abstract, though. Do you have any real-life examples of how income protection insurance has actually helped people?
I do.
Okay.
One of our sources tells the story of Sarah, a single mom who suddenly couldn't work because of a serious injury.
Okay, I'd love to hear more about Sarah's story.
Well, Sarah was smart and got an income protection policy.
Okay.
And it turned out to be a lifesaver for her.
Wow.
Because she had that policy, she could focus on getting better without the added stress of money problems.
Yeah.
She didn't have to use up all her savings or worry about paying her bills.
That's a powerful example of how this type of insurance can give you not just financial support, but also a feeling of security and stability.
Yeah.
During a tough time. It takes so much pressure off of you and allows you to focus on healing and getting back on your feet.
You got it.
It's amazing how this one type of insurance can have such a positive impact on so many areas of your life.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing there are still some misunderstandings out there about who needs income protection insurance
Right.
and what it actually covers. What are some of the most common myths that you've come across?
You're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are a lot of myths and misunderstandings,
Yeah.
and it's important to debunk them
Right.
because they can stop people from making good decisions about their finances.
Let's bust some myths then. What's the first one that comes to mind?
One of the biggest ones is that income protection insurance is only for people who have dangerous jobs.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Yeah.
It's like people think if they work in an office, they're somehow immune to accidents, illnesses, or just unexpected things happening in life.
Exactly. We tend to associate income loss with big accidents or jobs that are physically demanding.
Right.
But the truth is, anyone who depends on their income to support themselves and their family can benefit from this kind of coverage.
So it's not about the job itself.
Yeah.
It's about protecting your ability to earn money, regardless of what you do or where you work.
Exactly.
And that leads us to another misconception,
Okay.
that employer-provided disability benefits are enough.
Right.
I think a lot of people assume that if their employer offers some disability coverage, they're good to go.
Yeah.
But is that always the case?
Not always.
Okay.
While those benefits can be helpful,
Right.
they often have limitations, especially if you need them for a long time.
Okay.
There might be a limit on how much they'll pay or strict rules about what qualifies as a disability.
So even if you have some coverage through your work,
Yeah.
it's still worth thinking about getting an individual income protection policy.
It's definitely worth considering.
Okay.
An individual policy gives you more control over the details, and you can be sure the coverage fits your needs.
Yeah.
Plus, it's an extra layer of protection,
Right.
especially if your employer's benefits aren't enough.
Like having a backup for your backup,
Right.
which is never a bad idea when it comes to something as important as your income.
Definitely not.
Right.
When it comes to financial security, a little peace of mind can go a long way.
I completely agree. It's like having those different layers of protection.
Exactly.
You know, as we're talking about these individual policies and how they can work alongside what your employer might offer,
Right.
it makes me think about, like, how does income protection fit into your whole financial plan? It's not just like a thing by itself, right?
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Income protection is most effective when it's part of a bigger strategy,
Okay.
working together with your savings, your investments, even your retirement plan.
It's like building a strong foundation for your finances.
Yeah.
And income protection is one of those essential pillars, like holding everything up.
Exactly. It's not about replacing those other things.
Okay.
It's about having that safety net
Yeah.
that can help you deal with all kinds of risks.
Right. And speaking of foundations, one area where I think income protection is super important is family planning.
Yeah.
What do you think about how this type of coverage fits into that part of life?
It's something you really have to think about, especially for families with young kids or anyone who depends on your income.
Yeah.
If you can't earn money, it affects their present and their future.
Right.
So protecting that income becomes even more crucial.
It's like that saying, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst.
Yeah.
For taking those steps to protect your family's future no matter what happens.
You got it.
It's like creating a safety net.
Right.
So that your loved ones can keep living their lives and achieving their goals, even if something unexpected happens, like illness or disability.
Absolutely.
And I imagine there's a big emotional aspect to this, too.
That's all for sure.
Just knowing your family is financially secure, even if you're not bringing in the money,
Yeah.
must be a huge relief.
Absolutely. That peace of mind is priceless. It lets you focus on getting better without worrying about money.
Yeah.
And it helps your loved ones support you,
Right.
knowing their basic needs are met.
It's really amazing how this one type of insurance can have so many positive impacts.
Yeah.
But let's get practical for a second.
Yeah.
All this protection must come with a price tag, right?
Of course.
What can people realistically expect to pay for income protection insurance?
That's a great question. And like most insurance, it really depends.
Okay.
It's kind of like a personalized equation with several factors affecting how much you'll pay,
Okay.
your age, your job, your health, how much coverage you want,
Right.
the length of the benefit period, even the waiting period you choose. All of those things matter.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all thing.
Right.
It's about finding that balance between what you can afford
Right.
and getting the coverage you need.
Exactly. It's a balancing act.
Yeah.
And that's where working with a good insurance advisor can be super helpful. They can help you understand all the options.
Yeah.
Compare quotes, and find a policy that fits both your budget and your needs.
It's like having a guide in the world of insurance.
Yeah.
They can help you cut through all the complicated stuff.
Right.
Compare the prices
Lawful.
and make sure you're getting the right coverage.
Exactly.
Speaking of experts, one of our sources actually talks about some common questions people have about income protection.
Oh, okay.
What are some things you often hear from people who are thinking about this type of coverage?
Yeah, people are naturally curious, and insurance can be confusing.
Yeah.
So they definitely have questions.
Right.
One thing that comes up a lot is pre-existing conditions.
Okay.
People want to know if their medical history will affect whether they can get coverage or if it will make it super expensive.
That makes sense. It's a big concern for a lot of people.
Yeah.
What about the process of making a claim?
Oh, yeah. That's another big one.
Right.
People want to know what happens if they need to use their insurance.
Right.
How complicated is it? What documents do they need?
I'm sure those are big questions for people.
Definitely.
No one wants to deal with a bunch of paperwork,
Right.
especially when they're already dealing with health problems or job loss.
Exactly. Being clear and upfront is so important here. It's important to understand the process before you need it
Yeah.
and have all the necessary information ready.
Right.
And the good news is, if your claim is legitimate, it's usually processed pretty smoothly,
Okay.
especially if you're communicating openly with the insurance company.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
You know, before we move on, I wanted to go back to those myths we talked about earlier
Okay.
about income protection. I think it's so important to clear up those misconceptions
Right.
and help people understand the real value of this type of coverage.
Yeah, absolutely.
One myth that really bothers me is that income protection is a luxury. Only for rich people or people with risky jobs.
Yeah.
It's like protecting your ability to make a living is some kind of extra treat.
It's a really harmful idea.
Right.
Income protection isn't a luxury.
Right.
It's a basic part of financial security
Yeah.
for anyone who needs their income. It's about making sure you can pay your bills and maintain your lifestyle,
All right.
no matter how much you earn.
Exactly. It's not about status or being fancy.
Right.
It's about being responsible
Yeah.
and taking steps to protect yourself and your family from financial trouble.
Right.
And another myth that needs to be busted is that you only need this if you have a dangerous job.
Oh, yeah. That one comes up all the time.
It's like people think accidents and illnesses only happen in certain places, like construction sites or if
Yeah.
you're doing extreme sports.
Yeah.
But the truth is, unexpected things can happen to anyone,
Absolutely.
anywhere, anytime.
It's those moments when life throws you a curveball.
Yeah.
You could slip on ice, walk into your car, get sick out of nowhere,
Right.
or lose your job for reasons you can't control.
Exactly. It's about protecting yourself from the unknown, those unexpected things that could mess up your income and your financial plans.
Yeah.
It all comes down to that saying, expect the best, but prepare for the worst.
Absolutely.
And having income protection insurance is a big part of being prepared. It's about taking charge of your finances and making sure your family is okay, even when things get tough.
You said it perfectly.
Yeah.
It's about knowing your ability to earn money is valuable and taking steps to protect it.
You know, as we go deeper into this topic,
Yeah.
I'm really struck by how many different aspects there are to income protection. It's more than just a financial product.
Right.
It's about prioritizing security,
Yeah.
peace of mind, and taking care of your family.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
It's about knowing that life is uncertain, but choosing to face those uncertainties with confidence,
Right.
knowing you have a safety net.
And we're back for the last part of our deep dive into income protection insurance.
Yeah.
I gotta say, this has been really eye-opening for me. I hope you're all feeling just as informed and ready to take action as I am.
Me too.
We've covered so much, you know,
Yeah.
from the basics of what income protection even is and why it matters
Right.
to busting those common myths that are out there and even hearing about real-life situations where this insurance has made a difference.
Absolutely.
But before we wrap up,
Yeah.
I'd love to hear any final thoughts you might have for our listeners who might be thinking about adding income protection insurance to their financial plan, you know?
Yeah.
Like, what's the big takeaway?
If I could leave people with one thing to remember, it's this.
Okay.
Don't wait until something bad happens to think about income protection. It's so much easier to set it up when you're healthy and things are good.
It's like they say, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Exactly. And when it comes to protecting your income and your family's financial well-being,
Right.
that's so true.
Taking the time to really understand how income protection works, what it covers, and how it can help you. Yeah. That's a really smart move for your future.
It is.
So if this deep dive has sparked some interest, where can people go to learn more and see what their options are?
There are some great resources out there.
Okay.
A good place to start is talking to a financial advisor.
Okay.
They can help you figure out what you need specifically, weigh the pros and cons of different policies,
Right.
and find something that works for your budget and your goals.
It's like having a personal guide in the world of insurance.
Yeah.
It can help you understand all the complicated stuff.
Right.
Compare quotes.
Like, make sure you're getting the coverage you need.
Yeah. And beyond financial advisors, there's a ton of information online, right?
Absolutely. Most reputable insurance companies have websites and stuff that explains their policies,
Right.
outlines the features, answers common questions.
The internet can be a bit overwhelming sometimes, though.
Oh, yeah.
So it's important to stick to reliable sources and really do your research.
Exactly. Look for well-known companies, read reviews, compare policies from a few different providers.
Right. And don't be afraid to ask questions.
Definitely.
If something's not clear, reach out to the insurance company or a financial advisor.
Yeah, always ask.
Knowledge is power, right?
Absolutely.
Especially when it comes to making big decisions about your finances.
For sure.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of income protection insurance, I want to leave you all with one final thought.
Okay.
Imagine something unexpected happened tomorrow. An illness, an accident, maybe you suddenly lose your job.
Right.
Would your family be okay financially?
Yeah.
If the answer isn't a definite yes, then maybe it's time to look into income protection insurance.
It could be.
It's a way to build that safety net, that peace of mind,
Yeah.
knowing you've taken steps to protect yourself and the people you love.
What a great way to put it. It's not about living in fear.
Right.
It's about being prepared for whatever life throws at you.
And remember, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
Sharing knowledge and learning from each other is how we make good decisions and handle whatever comes our way.
Couldn't agree more.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay secure.